All right, gang. What I want to show you right here is what does our configuration of the switch look like when we're talking about an access point that is either autonomous or specifically when it's in a FlexConnect mode. Now remember, FlexConnect is the rebranding of Hybrid Remote Edge Access Point, or HREAP, which is the newer version of what was originally just Remote Edge Access Point, or REAP. Which, remember, all of those are really just talking about situations in which I have an access point and my LAN controller is on the other side of a WAN link, right? We've got to go across a remote link in order to reach that controller. You can do that, and when you do that, your CAPWAP tunnel will be established between these remote devices, but traffic, your end user traffic, is actually going to be delivered locally. So we're going to actually have the access point directly deliver that traffic out into the network according to the VLAN of the SSID of that particular client. So what that tells you is the access point has a lot more responsibilities. Since it's going to be actually converting SSIDs to VLAN IDs without the use of the wireless LAN controller, well, directly leaving the access point then, I'm going to have various different clients who might be associated with various different SSIDs. We'll color code them here for simplicity, which means what? We means that this has to be a trunk port to carry both types of data, both VLANs data to the switch, who can then route them appropriately, right? Keep them isolated from each other until they go through a router. So with that said, what does the configuration look like, Johnny? Glad you asked. All right, config term, interface, choose the interface of the switch connected to the access point to give it a description. Switch port mode trunk, right? It's got to be a trunk port. Switch port trunk native VLAN 11. The management interface that is used for this access point must be the native VLAN. Right, that is a requirement for a FlexConnect configuration. Must use a trunk port, and we must configure the native VLAN for managing that access point on that native VLAN. So I'll configure an IP address in VLAN 11 in order to manage that access point, and that better be on the native VLAN. Switch port trunk allowed VLAN 11, 14, and whatever other data VLANs we need to manage. Remember, with that said, if you only had one SSID off of this access point, that was all you were trying to keep track of. If that was our situation, it's all just one simple pool of addresses. Well, this could be an access port rather than a trunk port. The whole point of the trunk port is to be able to differentiate between the different SSIDs coming off an access point in order to separate that traffic into appropriate VLANs. So if you're not doing that from that access point, you don't really need to worry about it. And you can just use an access port, define a VLAN that will be used for managing the access point and delivering traffic to the clients, and call it good. But as soon as you want to separate those two features out, or if you want to separate it out to be able to support additional VLANs, by which we mean in this case additional SSIDs, then you're going to need to use this trunk port configuration that you see right here.